Edward, I think two of the most amazing revelations from your book, one of them being on page 187 in the Mandrake Mechanism chapter. It says, this is a quote, "It is difficult for Americans to come to grip with the fact that their total money supply is backed up by nothing but debt, and it is even more mind-boggling to visualize that if everyone paid back all that was borrowed, there would be no money left in existence." That is a profound and statement, but it's a mind bender for people to understand that without debt, there is no money.
That's one of the problems with the present system. See, we can never afford to get out of debt because it would destroy the economy.
Sure.
And so just think about that. We'll never get out of debt. And in fact, as long as the system exists as it does now, we cannot get out of debt. So we have to change the system, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just astonishing. And of course, people need to pick up this book and read it, The Creature from Jekyll Island, A Second Look at the Federal Reserve. Edward, in your opinion, how do we go forward from here? Just until recently, I think most Americans were somewhat neutral in their view towards the Federal Reserve. For years, as you've said, the Fed has been viewed by most Americans as sort of a large federal bank designed to function like other banks, but only on a more massive scale. But with this recent financial crisis, it appears the Fed has been getting a lot more attention. Bloomberg recently sued the Federal Reserve. It's been getting a lot more attention than it probably even likes. And what's been revealed about the Fed in recent years is beginning to cause a polarization of views regarding the institution. So there seems to be an awakening that's occurring around the nation. I'm wondering if you think this awakening is sufficient enough to cause a reevaluation of our monetary system and of the Federal Reserve itself. Can we actually move to a place of real change? Do you think that the awakening we're seeing right now with this crisis is enough? What's your take on that?
I don't think it's enough, but I do feel very heartened by it because it is a necessary first step. The reason I say I don't think it is enough is because I know that the powers that be, the gatekeepers of the present system, are not stupid. And one of the greatest traits that they have always exhibited is their ability to foresee what's coming ahead and to anticipate it and to take advantage of it and to manipulate it. They don't just wait. They're not just reactive people. They're proactive people. And I know that I can see it on the edges already. They are anticipating a great wave of resentment against the private Federal Reserve system. And what they're probably going to do, in my opinion, is to mount their own attack against it. Just like they wrote their own Federal Reserve Act and let everybody think it was written by anti-bank people, and when they were really behind it, that was pretty shrewd. I see the same thing happening now. What I think they're going to do is mount their own attack against themselves. And they're going to say, we've got to take this power away from the private banks and turn it over to the Treasury, turn it over to Congress, turn it over to the government. In other words, take this power to create money out of nothing away from the big, bad bankers and turn it over to those nice, trustworthy politicians. When in fact, those nice, trustworthy politicians will be the same people. It will change form only. It will change appearance only. And in truth, it makes no difference who creates money out of nothing. The problem is that anybody can create money out of nothing. The banks will come out ahead on that no matter what happens. So what I'm saying is that I think there's going to be a push on the part of the banks themselves for what they might describe as nationalization of the banks, control of the banks by the government, when in fact, behind the scenes, in those smoke-filled rooms, nothing will really change of substance. It'll just be appearance. Most countries of the world do not have the appearance of a private Federal Reserve system. Countries like England, for example, they got the Bank of England. It's the same basic system, but it appears to be more of a government operation. The Bank of France, the Deutsche Bank, all of the banks of the world, Canada, they all seem to be government institutions. They don't have this private entity called the Federal Reserve System in those countries, but they operate exactly the same. So that's why I say I don't think that the present awareness is sufficient. It's a good step in the right direction, but until people recognize that it's not just who creates money out of nothing, but that anybody can create money out of nothing, until that fact is well understood, then we still have a problem. But the ultimate solution is to not only get rid of the Federal Reserve System as a banking cartel that creates the nation's money, but to return to a sound currency which is backed by gold and silver, so that the banks or the governments or nobody else can create money out of nothing. That's the ultimate solution.
Wow, this has been a great interview. I really appreciate your time and taking time to come on the program, and I really wanted to get your solution, and I think that's it. End the Federal Reserve and create a sound currency, as our founders had envisioned in the very beginning. Edward, if our listeners would like to learn more about you and your work, how can they do so?
Well, I'd be delighted to hear from them. We have two websites, Jerry. Our commercial website, where we sell books and recordings, is called The Reality Zone. Pretty easy to remember, realityzone.com. We have about 100 different items there, and I invite anybody to come and look through our list. I think they're going to like what they see. So that's realityzone.com. But our website, where we deal with philosophical, ideological questions of what to do about this problem, not just be more informed, but how do we recapture control of the system? How do we change things? You'll find all of that in another website that is sponsored by Freedom Force International. That's an organization I created some years ago to try and bring about some substantial change. So that's the one I hope people will wind up at and spend a lot of time. It's freedomforceinternational.org. freedomforceinternational.org. And I'd be happy to correspond with anybody that wants to talk about our solutions that are presented at that website.
I urge you to pick up the book, The Creature from Jekyll Island. It's available at all fine bookstores and online at Amazon.com. Do you sell a copy of the book at your website?
Yes, that's available at the Reality Zone.
RealityZone.com. Great. Well, once again, thanks, Edward, for joining us, and appreciate it.
Thank you, Jerry, and good luck.